We've got this heat forecast for temperatures in the mid to upper 80s for today, and then over the weekend we're going to be in the 90s, and through next week temperatures the upper 80s to the lower 90s. I wanted to talk to somebody in the medical community who can help us to understand some of the basics of dealing with heat problems, and I happen to have one on the phone with me. Colby Mumau is on the phone. Colby, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell folks your specialty and where you are.
Yes, so I am a chiropractor here at the Human Motion Institute, and I am with the Indiana Physician Group. All
right. It's good to have you on the air with us today. Colby, dealing with heat is awfully difficult for a lot of folks, and especially folks who are maybe older, and prone to more injuries. Tell me a little bit about when you are dealing with extreme heat, some of the basics that folks need to know about dealing with this heat and making sure that you're being safe.
Sure. So a lot of people that are at risk whenever it gets hot out are especially older people because they don't regulate their body heat as well. And also for the athletes out there, I know there's going to probably be a lot of runners, walkers, since it's going to be very nice, but to make sure that they are hydrated. And then those just weekend warriors that are going to be working outside, such as gardeners or just anybody taking a walk around their house. It is beautiful, and you should be outside, but you got to make sure to take some steps to be safe as well.
Okay, those steps I'm assuming include, first of all, hydration.
Correct. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is stay hydrated, keep some water with you as much as you can. Take a little break, go in some shade every once in a while. But hydration is the biggest thing. Make sure you have not only water, but especially if you're going to be sweating a lot, maybe a little bit of Gatorade, something with some electrolytes, some salt, and so forth.
Is a hat as important as it's typically said to be?
Yeah, so hat also, I mean, that's just for skin care as well. So if you have like a big wide brim hat, anything kind of keeps the sun out of your face, have a little personal shade for yourself. That is definitely important.
Now, you mentioned, people get out and they run and stuff like this. I do. I love it. I love running in the hot and the sticky stuff. And in fact, there's a 5K that they're trying to talk me out of running tomorrow, which they probably have. But, when you are running in something like that, an endurance race of 5K, 10K, there are special dangers when it's this hot, aren't there?
Yes, for sure, especially with those type of athletics. So, I mean, there's the ones where you're just kind of taking a walk around the block, but with those where you're walking longer distances or, running longer distances such as 5Ks, make sure you hydrate before. There's usually water stations at any type of race like that, so obviously runners know to get water before and then get some water after. But then again, there's also where you drink too much water, but there's always the extreme. So you always want to, moderation is the key as with everything, so make sure you're hydrated. There are signs and symptoms such as like confusion, agitation, disorientation whenever you are having those type of symptoms. So if you are having those, take a break, sit down, get some shade, and get some liquids in you.
Colby Mumau is with us, chiropractor, working out of the Human Motion Institute at the Indiana Regional Medical Center and with the Indiana Physician Group. Colby, muscle pulls, muscle strains, joint strains, of course, you're dealing with those things all the time in your position. Are people more susceptible to them when it's hot like this, or is it basically something they have to watch out for all the time?
Well, that is obviously something you got to check out all the time for sure. But I was going to say any extremes in heat, extreme cold, extreme hotness, there's going to be the muscles are going to be under more intense stress and pressure. So you got to make sure to stretch beforehand, stretch afterwards. And as we've been stressing a lot for this weekend, especially since it's going to be in like the mid-90s, that you got to stay hydrated. Have your Gatorades handy. Have anything handy that will keep you hydrated.
Yeah, and while I have you on the line talking about that particular topic, the stretching beforehand and afterwards, it used to be that, okay, it's time to run, I'm going to do a couple of knee bends, and I'm going to take off. When I'm done, I'm going to sit down and rest. Not the best approach, is it?
No, you don't want to. You want to make sure to take your time, especially before and after. It's not like a couple like just hamstring stretches and then you're on your way. I know, especially even myself, who's a little bit younger, even the younger athletes, they're like they think they're invincible. so they don't have to stretch. But even any age, you're prone and susceptible to strains, and so you want to make sure that you stretch beforehand. Stretch for a good 5 to 10 minutes beforehand. Same with afterwards as well, so you don't get cramps and prevent soreness in the future.
Your joints and all of those, they take a pounding when you're running like that. And
Definitely.
Yeah, and you probably have to deal with that an awful lot too, about folks who've injured themselves. When they do go out there and they overdo it, in the heat, of course, obviously you want to get to a cool place. You want to cool your body temperature down and again, keep hydrated. But when you've strained yourself a bit too much physically and you've hurt yourself, best idea for getting treatment, I would assume, is get off to urgent care right away to make sure there's nothing serious wrong, and then maybe a visit to someone like you.
For sure, yeah. If there's anything that you believe is a medical emergency that I was going to say, especially like any chest pain, anything like that, whenever you're running, obviously go to the emergency room. But anything like little sprains, strains, that is our bread and butter here at the Human Motion Institute, and especially mine as well, where any type of joint, muscle, nerve injury, that is what I treat all day, every day. So if you have any of those, then I'm more than happy to help you out as best as I can.
Very good. I appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your day. I did a last-minute reach out there, and you were kind enough to come on the air with us today, telling people all about the heat and the problems that you might encounter with it. Colby Mumau, thanks so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right.